Today I'm going to show you how to check for a diastasis recti. And what that is it's a split of the rectus abdominal muscles. So they come apart and sometimes the internal organs kind of come out a little bit. This is something that women can have, men can have, infants can have. So I'm going to show you how to check to see if you yourself have one of these. It's important to know if you do have one because then you need to start to train your abdominal muscles a little bit differently because inevitably you've lost a lot of abdominal strength by having this. So you're going to come down onto your back. I'm going to lift my shirt up so that you can see what I'm doing here. So you're going to place your fingers right over your navel and you're going to press down just a little bit. Okay? So as you are pressing down, you're going to lift your head up. And the initial lift of the head is where you're going to gauge the depth of your separation. Okay? So right now for me, it's about 2 fingers wide. The more you take your head up, the more it does start to come together. So you want to do it at the initial lift. And then you want to take it at the belly button, and then you want to come up a little bit and test it there. And then come up a little bit, test it there. Inevitably, it'll start to close at certain places. And then again, you want to go a little bit below the navel, test it, and then a little bit below again, test it. Okay, so that's one thing is to test the width, and the other part is to test the depth. So you turn your fingers, again pressing down, again lift up, and see how far you can get your fingertips down towards the spine, and then release. The deeper that you can get your fingertips down, the more work you're going to need to correct this. Okay, so knowing that, you then start to work your abdominal muscles a little bit differently. And we're going to show you that in a different video, how to do that. But what causes this to happen in most people? There are 2 really key postural things that people do that cause this separation. And one is the thrusting of the ribs forward. So it's sitting with the rib cage forward, or standing with the rib cage forward in which you have a sway in your back. Another thing that's common is even laying down on the floor. We do abdominal exercises where the rib cage is slightly lifted up. As you can see here, you can definitely see the definition of my rib cage because I'm thrusting my ribs forward versus having my rib cage settle down. So we're going to look at this also standing upward. So in a standing posture, a lot of people, when they take their hands up above their head, their rib cage thrusts out. Okay? Instead of their rib cage staying within the torso and their arms coming up and down. So the rib thrusting is a key to this separation happening because when your ribs are forward, your abdominal muscles are going to pull apart. The other thing that happens is people pushing their pelvis forward. So in this, my pelvis is pushed forward and my weight is now forward over my toes versus my pelvis being back and my weight over my heels. So if you have this separation, you want to know the width and the depth, and then you want to start to look at your posture to see if you're a person who thrusts the ribs forward, or if you're a person who thrusts the pelvis forward. Or you might be a person who does both. And then you start to work on shifting your ribs back and shifting your pelvis back.